I'm the Naked Fairy, and as you can tell from my scratchy voice and my general pale sweatiness, I'm still the sick Naked Fairy. But I wanted to keep talking to you about what we started yesterday about PTSD. Now, PTSD is a really big subject, and if you have it or you care about someone that has it, there's a lot going on. And I wasn't quite sure where to go next, but I rewatched the video and suddenly I knew. I wanted to share with you some basic principles from my toolbox. Now, you'll hear me talk about having a toolbox, and a toolbox is simply that. It's a collection of the tools you use to deal with what has happened to you. The cause of what happened to you, well, that's yours, and how you're reacting, how functional you're remaining, that's going to be individual to you. But everybody needs tools. They need help, and they need tools. So I'm going to share with you some of the tools in my toolbox. These are some core principles, and we're going to start with one today that kind of continues on a theme we started a couple videos back about real versus reality. We talked about how what's inside your personal space bubble is real. It's your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, your perceptions. It's real. But just because it's real doesn't make it objective fact. There's a bigger objective reality out there. Now, the phrase I use is feelings are not reality. Now, when I say that, a lot of times the reaction I get is, my feelings are real. Yes, your feelings are real. They are not reality. Okay, let me repeat this. Your feelings are real. They're not reality. Let me give you a very simple example. You misplace your car keys, or maybe you lock them in your car, and you feel incredibly stupid. That doesn't mean you're a stupid person. Your IQ hasn't suddenly gone down. You have not become less functional or capable than you were before you lost your keys, but you feel really stupid. That feeling in that moment is real, but it's not reality. And you have to step back from that feeling in order to figure out how you're going to find your car keys. Because if you keep in the feeling of feeling stupid or panicked because you need your keys, you're not going to find them. You're going to be just bouncing off the walls and you're not going to find them. You have to be able to step back and go, okay, I'm not stupid. I can figure this out. I can backtrack. Now, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're so caught up in a feeling you can't, and you need to ask someone to help you. Help me figure out where my keys are. Help me figure this out. But the point is that feelings, what you're feeling, isn't reality. When you get stuck in a PTSD moment, when you get sucked back in to the trauma, it feels real. It feels immediate. It feels there. It doesn't feel like it happened whenever it happened. It feels like it just happened minutes, seconds ago. It's real. But it's not reality. It's not happening. It's been over. You are safe. Now let me just stop right here. If you're not safe, if you're in an abuse situation, before you can deal with any of this, you have to get to a safe spot. Whether it's a shelter, whether it's with friends or other family. Maybe it's even out on the street living from your car, because that's safer than being abused. Maybe it's going to a church you don't believe in, because you just need to be safe. Until you're safe, you can't deal with PTSD. But once you are safe, once the abuse is stopped, then you can remind yourself of that. I have nights where I don't want to sleep. You see, after that first time when I woke up to find my cousin there, Well, I wasn't going to let that happen again. And I would stay awake. And I'd learn that if he hadn't come in by a certain time, what I would refer to as my personal witching hour, it was safe to sleep. So there are times, certain times of the year, certain anniversaries, that my psyche just will not believe I'm safe. No matter how many times I tell it, it won't believe, and I won't sleep until a certain time of the morning. But the reality is I am safe. I'm in a house where people love me. No one's abusing me. People are supportive. I'm very lucky in that regard. But when I'm in the moment, I don't feel safe, but I am. Because feelings are real, but feelings are not reality. Now here's the catch-22. Catch-22 is this. If you insist that your feelings are reality, you can turn your feelings into reality. You see, if you act as if for long enough, you begin to create the situation where it's true. You have got to separate yourself from the immediacy of the feeling. You've got to step back. Because here's something I really believe. See, there's a lot in the world that we can't control. I dare say that 99%, maybe even more, of what goes on in your life has nothing to do with you. The rude guy that stopped at the light next to you and made a rude gesture probably had nothing to do with you or your behavior. He was having a bad day and he was going to be offended by anything that happened, and you just happened to be the next person in line. Your coworker that's grumpy, again, it's their grumpiness, not yours. And you just happen to be there to catch it. But I believe that there is one place that we actually have freedom, where we actually have something that's in our control. And that's the space between where we feel something and then when we act on those feelings. You see, I can feel so mad that I want to shoot someone. Okay? And there's no crime in that. There's no crime in being so angry you want to hurt someone or something. There's no crime in being so upset that you just want to take a baseball bat and smash all the windows in your house. That doesn't make it okay to do it. The freedom you have is to not do it, to not act on those feelings. You can develop a crush on someone totally inappropriate. You know it's inappropriate, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because it's a feeling, and it's yours, and you'll have to deal with the feeling. But you haven't broken a law or committed a sin because you have a feeling. No, that happens when you act on the feeling. The freedom you have is to act or not act based on what you feel. It's when you take a real feeling and turn it into reality. That is what makes your feelings reality, and that's where you have a choice. Feelings are not reality. When you have PTSD, you will often feel guilt. You will often feel shame. You will often feel anger. And you'll often feel fear. And so many other things. Most of those emotions belong in the past. Some of them are misplaced, like you feel guilty for being a burden to the people that love you. But really, they're there because they want to be there. Let them have the privilege of loving you the way they want to love you. And if that means putting up with your messes, well, be there for them. But that's their choice. Don't feel guilty. And try not to apologize as much as I do, because it does aggravate them. Sometimes you need reality checks. This is again where a good therapist can help, because a therapist can, they're not in your emotional bowl of soup with you, and they can tell you, okay, here's why your feeling isn't reality. And most insurance programs today will pay for up to 6 visits with the therapist before even asking for a diagnosis to approve it. And I guarantee you, if you have PTSD, it will be approved. But this lets you go in occasionally for a reality check. That takes 3 or 4 visits, but maybe you don't need long-term at that point. If you have a particularly level-headed family member or a friend or even acquaintance, they can be helpful in giving you a reality check. Be careful where you get your reality checks. If your best friend is naturally paranoid, she's probably not the best person to go to when you're feeling fearful. But it is important to have reality checks. And sometimes that reality check is information. It's looking something up online. Is this normal? Is this natural? Sometimes we get so caught up in our emotions that are part of the PTSD and that stem from the trauma that happened to us, that when we naturally have that emotion in the present day, it still feels wrong. And it's nice to have someone say, it's okay. You just had a scare. It's normal to feel afraid. Or, it's okay. That feeling you're feeling, you're actually excited. I know it feels the same as the adrenaline rush you get from being scared, but it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. So reality checks are important. But the biggest reality check is the one you can give yourself. Feelings aren't reality. Your feelings are real. Don't let anyone tell you you shouldn't feel that way. Or, it's not right to feel that way. No, they're yours. Okay? Once you start acting, then it impinges on other people. But the feelings you have are yours, and you can feel them. But the feelings aren't reality. They're not reality. And that is the first principle that I think you should have in your toolbox. When you get caught in a moment, if you can step back and go, I get that I feel like it just happened, but the reality is I'm safe. Wow, that's a big step. And you might not be able to do that. You might have to post it to your bathroom mirror, or tape it to your dresser, or just have it sitting around in different places, or even sometimes have something that reminds you as you scroll on your computer. But feelings are not reality, and this is a really, really important principle. To always remember, no matter what's going on inside your personal space, inside you as an individual, there is a bigger reality out there. And it's an important thing to stay connected to it and to not forget it's there. You don't have to agree with what's going on in the reality around you, but it's still there and it's still happening. And when you're having your feelings and you're connecting them to reality, remember that clothing is optional, but consent is not.